Well, hello YouTubers, and welcome back to the David Swordplay channel. It's on board the Honda Africa Twin CRF1100L DCT. Now, as you will know if you've watched my channel, I'm a big fanboy of DCT. This bike also has the 1100cc engine, or 1098 or 48cc, and it develops just over 100 horsepower, about 105 horsepower, a lot of torque. I think it's about 105 newton meters of torque. So there's a lot of bodywork changes between this and the early models. It looks very similar, so they've been very clever, but the body panels are a lot different. The bike has a detachable rear subframe, whereas the earlier models had a subframe that was welded on. So there's been upgrades and improvements along the way. Now we also have a Splendid TFT screen, and it's a really nice TFT screen. But one thing I would say, that it's quite complicated to use the buttons. You've got to learn to use the buttons, like pressing this to change the page. And I've got to urban now, gravel, so we're changing the modes: off-road, user 1, user 2, and back to tour. So once you've learnt the buttons, which are plenty on this left hand handle grip, the system's quite intuitive. As you can see, the display gives you a lot of information. So just running through it, we were in tour. We've got the one on the power. Now I believe that means that it's at full power. It's got full engine braking on and 2 segments of traction control, and the ABS is set at off-road. That's interesting. But anyway, we're in Sport 1 now, and this is I like to use the DCT in Sport 1 or Sport 2. Find Sport 3 a little bit aggressive. So Sport 1 or Sport 2 for me, and it runs really well in those. I don't like the urban mode or drive mode, sorry. I find that the engine changes up too quickly and you get a lot of lugging, which I don't like. But anyway, it's a big improvement in many areas, this bike. It's got 45mm Showa upside down forks on it with full adjustability manually. They also do an electronic version on the Adventure Sport model, but this is just a manual adjustment. It's basically, this is the off-road model, if you like. It's got a minimalist approach to equipment. As you can see, there's no handguard extensions. You just get the basic plastic bit, and you have to buy the handguards as extras. It has no centre stand on this bike, that's an extra. And there's actually no grab rails or luggage rack on the back of it. That's also an extra, but I believe they've put it back on for the 2023 models. Now, 2023 model of this bike will cost you over £13,000 in its standard form, Can't quite remember the numbers, I'll put them up on the screen. And you buy various packs, the electric pack, touring pack, and if you add all these up, you end up with a bike. And if you wanted panniers as well to put on this bike, you'd be looking at a substantial sum, so you'd probably be looking around £16,000. If you go for the optional foot shifter, which is on this bike, I'll show you that later on the walk round, and that's about a £397 option as well. So I'm afraid Honda's gone the way of all manufacturers. You can spec it up to what you like and pay your price. It's got the short screen on it, which I'm not a big fan of, but if you're doing off-roading, it's certainly worth having, because it doesn't impede your, when you're standing up and looking over the screen. I really love this 1100cc engine. It's got beautiful power delivery, and it really takes off when you open the throttle. So yeah, all in all, it's an updated version of our favourite Africa Twin. Now there are lots of bikes in this segment, and people say that this is slightly underpowered. Well, it is if you want to compete with a GS, but I love the Africa Twin because I've owned a GS 125 horsepower R1200 GS, and this doesn't feel any slower than that. I mean, obviously when you get to the top end, about 7.5, power tends to tail off a little bit, but I do like the Africa Twin. Some people say the seat's uncomfortable. I don't find that. I find it's quite comfortable for me in the low position, which is about 825 millimeters. I can flat foot this bike. So all in all, like I say, I'm a fanboy of the Africa Twin. So let's have a look round the Africa Twin CRF1100 DCT in a nice Honda racing colours, if you like. Spoke rims, 21-inch on the front, 18-inch on the back, 4-pot Nissan radially mounted calipers on it, and I think they're 310 or 320 discs. The new shape of front end with the small off-road screen, and the nice colour matched seat, although it is showing it's getting quite dirty. It's a foul day, salt and rain everywhere. Nice note coming from the exhaust. I'll just crack that up and we can have a listen. Quite a nice note. And that's the standard exhaust. LED indicators, lights, and a big improvement on the front for me. Both headlights on, whereas on the earlier models got daylight running on both sides, and the headlights are nice and symmetrical. You've got indicators, although it would seem it's been dropped. Seems to have a different one on that side. Looks very strange, but anyway, there it is. It's got the Metzler Karoo Street tyres on. All in all, a nice looking motorcycle. There's the detachable frame we were talking about in red. You bend that, you can take it off, put a new one on, although I don't know how much they are. But like I say, there's no grab handles on the bike. and no rack on the bike, all extras. Here's the foot shift, which is nearly a £400 extra, but works very well, just like riding a manual bike, only you don't have to pull the clutch in. So all in all, nice little thing.